Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Respect the Game podcast. We got a great show tonight. We're going to have a special guest here. We got our very own ONV brother. We just want to welcome him in, and he's going to give us a great information on his great love. How you doing there, brother?
Great. I'm happy to be here. So, yeah. My name is Gralan Early for the people who don't know. But, I'm glad to be here. And so, yeah.
We're happy to have
Welcome,
you.
welcome. We're glad you're here, Graylin.
Yes, sir.
Graylin, what brings you to this show? Tell us what brings you here, man.
Well, I know a lot of you.
Go ahead and say it. We the best podcast for the sport.
Yes. I would say probably one of the non-wrestling podcasts in the city. And I'm so grateful that I get a chance to share light on wrestling and the community and maybe some of my knowledge of the sport. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to get started real quick, and get down to the actual reason why we're here. You are one of the top-notch coaches in Fort Wayne in the state of Indiana as far as a wrestling coach, and you have brought great things to the city of Fort Wayne. Can you give us a little background history?
How you got into wrestling?
Absolutely. I come from a family of wrestlers. Starting with my uncle, Rotha, at Central High School. He placed third twice, I want to say in 70 and 71. That kind of just started our family tradition, as my other uncles participated in wrestling as well at Central, and then some of my older cousins started getting into the sport. And so before I even got to high school, it was already a solid tradition. I already had a cousin that was a state champion and placers in my family, so had some big shoes to fill. However, I really didn't like wrestling.
Really?
Wow. Now, that's surprising, man.
Right. I played basketball and football. And so I got cut from basketball. And
How old were you when you got cut?
I would say I was in seventh
Middle
grade.
school. Okay.
And I got cut, and one of my cousins said, "Hey, you're not just gonna just do nothing, right?" I didn't even know how to wrestle. He took me to my first tournament, and I got whomped.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say you did great, man.
I wish I had that kind of story, but I got smoked, and I remember just crying, and I didn't know any moves. And I've watched my cousins and brothers wrestle, but I just wasn't interested in it. And then I got thrown. I remember it was in Edgerton, Ohio, first tournament. I'm out there in shorts and T-shirt. Everybody have like the whole wrestling gear on and stuff like that.
I thought you said your family was the hookup. They ain't got no gear for you, man.
No. It was a thing like, we're gonna wait and see how good he really
There you go.
Okay.
before I give him the good stuff. Right?
Okay.
And so this kid, I don't know. I think I was, you just show up and you weigh in and you wrestle other opponents at the same weight. However, some of those kids are losing weight to get down to a weight class.
Right.
So I don't know. This kid, he was all muscle.
That's a skill,
And
man.
he was just tossing me around. If you know, like the Flintstones, bam, bam, he was bam, bam, bam. So that was kind of that. I cried. I was like, oh my goodness. And so that was that little off season. I think I did like I think that might have been the only tournament I did that year. And so I started going up. My family, most of them graduated from Northside.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I had cousins and family members coaching at the high school. And so towards my 8th grade year, they started taking me. I started going up to the high school and wrestling and learning wrestling, and that kind of started it. Most people think probably I've been wrestling all my life, and again, I have. I really only started kind of in 8th grade a little bit, and then moved into high school. And so with that, I had definitely my family there to help mentor and guide me in the right direction, worked on my training, and truly the success that I had in high school just came from because I was coachable.
Yeah.
And
That's a key part.
absolutely. Was coachable, and I could pick up things very quickly. And I could pretty much watch it and almost do it to perfection.
So what year did you win the state championship?
In 2003, which was great. I won 36-0.
Was that your senior year?
My senior year.
Okay.
So my freshman year, I'll take you on a little journey.
Okay.
From my freshman year, stepping in, I didn't know what to expect. I had to lose weight and all kinds of things, and so I made it. I was a semi-state qualifier. Made it to semi-state in what we call the blood round to go to state. I lost in that round. That same year, the guy that took second, I beat him at a tournament earlier that year. So I was like, I think I'm kind of good. I beat the guy that got second in state. I didn't even make it to state, and so just worked hard. Came back my sophomore year, made it to the state finals. So I was in a state championship match for a state title, competing under the lights at Conseco Fieldhouse. First time, I was a little nervous, and I'm getting beat. That was like the only time I've ever gotten pinned in high school was in that match.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
And there have been people before you that been wrestling all their life.
Yeah.
And
You was 3 years in the game.
3 years in the
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
But you said something though. It's funny. That's key because
Coachable.
like bingo, coachable. But what made you coachable? Like you said, you had no interest in wrestling. You came up like everybody else around here, basketball, football. So when guys get to high school, they done trained and been working. So they get the coaches, and it's like they know everything.
Yeah.
You
I've
came
been
in,
doing this.
you came in, new sport. Hey, I'm going to try this.
Yeah. Y'all tell me what I
A
need to do.
whiteboard, a
Yeah.
clean slate,
That's good.
and learning everything that you can. I mean, that's a true testament right there.
And with that, JJ, before you go further, I want to also say, because you said you didn't have a love for the sport, a lot of times if we don't feel it or we don't love it, or especially because we talked about it, we think families think our family should be our legacy or keep going what we're doing, if there's a legacy in basketball or whatever. But for you not to have love for the sport, but to excel in it and to still be coachable is a testament to, you as a person.
Did that legacy from your family kind of play a part to your work ethic and, the success you wanted to have?
Yes, and I will also say I grew up in a horrible situation, and even though I had family, I grew up in Lima, Ohio. So I was born in Fort Wayne, grew up in Lima, Ohio, had some challenges.
Gotcha.
I've been homeless. I've been all kinds of different things before I even got to middle school or high school. So I think I had a chip on my shoulder. Just wanted to be successful because I had a lot of people against me saying I would never amount to anything or I would amount to what my parents were and what they were doing. And so I wanted to beat the odds. And this was something I was like, it's coming naturally easy. And I had some guidance from my family, who have done it before me. And the work ethic just came from, I just want to be successful.
Yeah.
And at any and everything that I could do. And I found that in wrestling. And so that kind of just fueled me. It kind of just led to being successful. And after my sophomore year placing second, I was ranked number 1 in the state.
Wow.
Coming back, I ended up losing in the semifinals of state my junior year by 1 point, and I took 4th that year. And what some I would
a
say
setback, kind of.
For sure. I think just training was off, just where I was at mentally. I had some deaths in the family around that time, and just wasn't as focused as I was. Because I think people were like, telling, oh, he's good. Oh, man, you're great.
Their
but
head
You
swell.
don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got popped real quick.
You don't need to practice no more because I'm good. No, I'm joking.
And anything I can say through that, one of my things, I don't really regret it, but I would say I should have really wrestled harder to get third place. We always say, win your last match. Go out, whether it's the championship match or third, fourth, fifth place, win your last match. I just wasn't in mentally. I was feeling sorry for myself, and I just gave up the third place match pretty much. And so that's something that no matter what, and if you have some setbacks, that you continue to do your best and shine through it. And so through that, I came back. I said, look, no one's going to beat me next year. And I got back focused. I didn't get scored on probably the whole entire year, not a single offensive point. 36-0. Ended
That's
my
a
career.
mentality to come back with right there.
Yeah. Ended my career
That's
on
unheard of.
149-9.
Yeah.
That was my high school record.
Oh wow.
And most of those, 5 of those losses came my freshman year.
Wow.
So
So you had the successful high school career. Where'd you go next? What was chapter 2?
So I was fortunate enough to land a scholarship at Northern Illinois University, which is a D1 in the MAC, and went there, and actually went there and I started my freshman year in college. With some of the pressure of that, it was only 2 of us. It was me and a heavyweight that we started as true freshmen. That just a grueling season. I still had facing a lot of family challenges, and didn't really end my career the way that I would like in college to go. I got hurt. I had some nerve damage in my neck and shoulder that kind of kept me from competing.
So you only wrestled your freshman year? Or?
No, I went
All 4 years?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when did you get hurt, I guess?
Towards the end of my career, yeah.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I know you've been back and forth, Wayne. You've been working, giving back.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you got the ultimate victory. You got a degree.
Correct.
So there
That's,
you go.
that's it right there.
At the end of the day,
Starts me.
you set yourself up to be in a better situation. You
Right.
talk about your family challenges and all that. So that is to be commended. Where does that drive come to give back? Because you've been giving back since you've been back. Where does that come from?
That comes from it came from when I was living in Lima, Ohio, and I had some youth pastors, some youth group. Was part of the Salvation Army. That's where I really found Christ, and really started building a relationship. And they showed me what unconditional love was and what kind of love that God has for us.
Yeah.
And so I said I wanted to help young people who's in my situation or worse, and to be successful. So when I had an opportunity to do so, I started right away. So yeah.
That's good. And you know what? A lot of people, they'll take a story like yours and think, that's why I give back. But there are, believe it or not, some people will say, hey, I made it. No, look, I made it. They got to figure it out, too. You know, there's some people
Nobody
have that
helped
mentality.
me. Yeah, that's that mentality, too. So.
The fact that, again, I don't ever take that for granted. The fact that you want to do that, that's awesome. And to use your expertise in wrestling. I read you had a kid, you started in 6th grade, Greco-Roman. What is Greco-Roman? And B, matter of fact, 6 years old. That's 6th grade, excuse me. Tell me about this kid and tell me, what is Greco-Roman? Tell us to all of us novices.
Yeah.
Okay, I start with Greco-Roman is one of the oldest sports, period, especially in the Olympics. It's more upper body wrestling. You can't touch the legs. And it involves tremendous strength in your arms and your legs, really your whole body. to utilize and to be able to throw your opponent, push them around out of the circle, and to win those matches. So it is very tough to do that because you're limited with only your upper body. However, when it comes to the young man that we're talking about, his name is Al Capone VZ. Used to be a wrestler at Snyder High School, standout, one of the top recruits in the country. Started training him at the old Fort Y with Sam Young, who he was a wrestling coach at Southside and big advocate for wrestling.
Yeah.
And we started that program, got a lot of African American kids into the sport, training them. He just kind of just stuck with it because of his parents, his dad, who was a good friend of mine, and started him on his journey. It wasn't always, again, it wasn't peaches and cream for him, as he, had a good, strong football foundation and wanted something to offset. His dad wrestled too around my time, and so that kind of helped instill some of that wrestling knowledge into him as his dad was overseeing kind of the training and coming alongside of us as we did it together. And so he just kind of climbed through the ranks, never fearful of any challenge. He accepted any challenge. He was wrestling kids we didn't make him cut weight or anything. And he kind of just grew into this man child with his strength. And so he, I want to say, started wrestling nationally. Won some national tournaments when he was in 5th middle school, and started just going on that journey. Told his dad that we needed to get him, if he wanted a college scholarship, we needed to get him wrestling the Olympic style. So we started training freestyle and Greco. Freestyle is the style that you can touch the legs.
Is that Olympic? Is that what you mean by the Olympic style?
Yes.
Okay.
So these two sports, freestyle and Greco, is in the Olympics. And so, yeah. And actually, it's coming up. The Olympics is coming up this summer.
Yeah.
So you can watch that. I think it's in Paris.
Nice. Are you going?
I'm not.
Hey, how can we get our youth in our community involved with wrestling? Because I think that's one of the sports that's being missed in our community.
Yeah.
What can we do?
You just gotta find the right people. In our community, it's not a lot of African Americans who really has that knowledge or that experience.
Right.
To really push forward. It's a predominantly white sport, and so it doesn't cost a lot, but it can cost a lot if you're traveling across the country to these tournaments to get seen and get the competition. However, that was something I was missing when I was younger.
But
I kind of just did it. Yeah.
You still made a way, a path, found that way to make it too. So
now I got 2 questions real quick. One is Decatur, they still dominant on the wrestling scene up there?
Yes, they have always been. They have a good tradition in Decatur at Belmont.
Is that Belmont in there?
Yeah.
And
in Delta?
The Baker family, they got generations. I'm telling you,
Baker, the Freet family. I actually still coach one of the Freets. He's a senior at Wabash College. I still coach him. Okay. We still do training sessions, and I still wrestle with him.
You still wrestling?
Oh yeah.
And that was gonna be my second question. You train. How can, as Mike says, we want to get some exposure, get kids involved. Yeah. Where are you training? Let us know the name. How can we get folks to you?
So right now I train at help coach and train young wrestlers at the Fort Wrestling Facility, which is off of Goshen Road. It's ran by Andy Oberlin, who's the head coach at Homestead High School. He's a big advocate trying to bring this area back up in wrestling. That's not the only place, but that's where I'm at.
Right. That's where we need to be at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say the other ones because it's necessary that not just one place can do it and bring the area up, and that's what I'm all about, is bringing the entire Northeast Indiana up. So you have the regional training center at Indiana Tech, which I used to be a part of that and train kids through there. And then there's other private little high school clubs that's around. So just get connected through the high schools. And most high schools now are trying to create a club from there.
Yeah, I feel like when we create our sports facility, we're gonna need your knowledge and your expertise to come over and show us or show somebody how to run an excellent program. Yeah. So one other question for you real quick, the co-ed, co-ed wrestling. Can you elaborate on that as far as like the new and the old?
Yeah, so before, women's wrestling is one of the emerging collegiate sport in the country. Yeah, it is exploding, and with that, and a lot of states are already sanctioning women's wrestling. Before, women had to wrestle with the boys. Yeah. I remember going into high school, I had to wrestle a girl from Heritage. And so it has evolved into something that definitely, obviously, women can do. And they wanted something that's more for them as well, as we battle, Title IX and giving opportunities to young ladies to kind of balance out the ratio of men and women athletes in schools. So it's a great opportunity for young ladies that they're getting scholarships, full rides. Wow. And I encourage any young lady, that's another opportunity. It teaches all discipline. It teaches can teach self-defense through that as well. But it's definitely an opportunity. Before, like even this year, a young lady, Juliana Ocampo, made history on placing at the boys' state tournament. Wow. Now, some would say, because of Title IX and however, she's already won 3 girls' state championships already, and she's a junior. However, some would say that it's taking opportunities away from boys now. Before it is like, yeah, they can, girls are not. But these young ladies are coming into the sport and dominating those lower weights. And so some could say she's taking away opportunities for young men. And so we're hoping that they sanction women's wrestling next year.
So for a personal, you wrestling a female, how did that go? I'm pretty sure you dominated her. Or did
I had to.
Well,
hold on. Hey, you don't want to get in no trouble with that statement. He dominated because he dominated everybody. That's what you said. He was a bad boy. That's what you said. He was a bad boy.
Okay, he was great.
Yeah, exactly. That's what. Yeah.
I got a question though. So when you say that the women was coming in and taking over the lower weight class, are you saying that the women wrestle in the lower weight class than what the guys do?
Absolutely. Okay. When you're looking at high school and the development of a high school wrestler or just a high school athlete, period, especially the difference between the boys, men and women, boys haven't hit puberty yet. So girls are coming in a lot stronger at those lower weight classes, and they are more flexible, which it makes it very hard when you're hitting technique against them, to beat them. So as those young boys are haven't developed yet, they're kind of losing the girls. Sad. But in a good way, great. It's good for the sport.
It is. But you train in the
Can I get in, JJ?
Okay, go ahead.
He said, "Can I get?"
No. And I was trying to ask this question earlier, and it's also with the females because are there female wrestlers around here? But we were talking about getting our community involved. And you made a statement that it's not many faces like ours in there. So is there a movement of faces like ours and even female faces like ours in the wrestling community?
Absolutely. If you look at it, it's more diverse even at the Olympic level now. And I would just say it because it just is what it is. When we get those opportunities to train and know the knowledge of the sport, we tend to dominate and to wrestle at a high level that makes it extremely hard for people to beat us. And with that, there is a movement. I'm a part of the movement. It's been one of my goals is to see more African American boys and girls get into the sport because I know what it's done for me. It took me across the world. I've won a veterans bronze medal at the World Championships in Tbilisi, Georgia. Not the state, the country, right?
Georgia.
And so it's taken me places. I've been to Paris. I've been to Amsterdam. I've been a lot of different places. I've been to Mexico. I've been to in South America. So it has done a lot for me, and I want to be able to provide some of those opportunities for the young people in our community that is much more than just basketball and football. And you can do all the above.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but there's opportunities in there. There's scholarships, So I'm definitely a part of that movement of helping minorities get into the sport of wrestling.
So when you say, like, I know we talking about kids getting in. So how could someone become a coach? Like, so say I don't know nothing about wrestling, but say I wanted to get involved, help out, volunteer, like, a way to kind of give back to the community. How could someone jump into that atmosphere?
Just show up.
Show up.
Show up to the fort.
Okay.
You contact me,
Okay.
show up. We'll teach you through it. And that's one of the things I involve as many parents as possible because it's not just me as a coach who's helping to develop these young athletes. It's everyone. And this is the big misconception. And I, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a little bit of time to say this because people look at it as it's just about me as a coach. I don't coach because I'm trying to be in the Hall of Fame or I want my name in a paper or anything like that. I coach because I want to see young people be successful and I got a gift that God gave me.
Yes.
And so I think I have a duty and I'm a student of the game. I'll coach everyone in Northeast Indiana, I promise you. And I don't say that with arrogance. I say that with confidence because I know how much time I spend on film, on giving my time to young people, on developing myself as a coach and developing them and everyone that's around them, even their parents. I kind of call it the Holy Trinity. Is the coach, is the trainers, it's and the parents who have to wrap around and create an environment for young people to be successful, for true development to happen. So it's not just on me, Yeah, I look good because they out there doing it, and it's way more than just yelling out drills and stuff. But to get into the sport, you got to just jump in, and once you never forget it, and you can be a part of helping young people be successful in this sport.
So we also talk about being a student athlete. What is your concept on that area? Because it's very important for them to go to that next level is to be a student athlete. So
absolutely, it's very important. You got to get your studies in, and that comes first before any drill or anything. There has to be an expectation, and the expectation is you have to have great grades, not just get by. You got to put the time in the classroom so you can have those opportunities, right? There's so many athletes, period, across the board in Fort Wayne community schools who are not getting the opportunities that they deserve because of academics. And shame on those people who allow them to sleep through class and give them a D and all this other thing just to participate.
appreciate that.
And it's important that they do that they get their studies.
The other thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but with wrestling too, when you talk academics, wrestling is such a disciplined sport. That's the one thing I've always noticed and observed, just like we talked about making weight, doing your regimen. Most of the wrestlers I know have always been intelligent cats that have their stuff together, the successful ones. I sit up here, I'm listening to you talk, and your whole mannerisms, remind me of, past state champions that were wrestlers. And to talk, it's just, it's funny to me. But, that discipline, it's all encompassing. So I think it goes hand in hand. And I don't know what happens with the other sports. You're right. You would think it would be that. But I think that one-on-one mentality, you out there on that mat, you know it all comes down to you. I think, that puts everything all in focus for you, and in your whole preparation, how you go about things. Yeah. So, but I love hearing the passion in your voice, man.
Yeah.
It is a breath of fresh air. And the one thing I got right now, we want to see some demonstrations. I'm gonna have you go with Coach Ayers.
I got
hook
you.
up, put your glasses on the stage. You can sell his glasses.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
Okay. I'm with you, Jay. I really appreciate your honesty, what you bring, what you telling our audience, what we need to do as a whole.
Yeah.
It takes a village to raise all of our kids, man. And I appreciate your passion. You can see it, you can hear it, and we all need to see this, and we need to follow by your example on doing the things we need to do that we love to do. Not saying that we not, but just to hear from you was very awesome.
And what's next for Gralan and anybody you're training right now? Do you have anything coming up, or is there any specific thing that you have for going on?
Yes, right now I'm training a young lady to make a U15, U16 world team in Spokane, Washington. So that will be an Olympic style. So I'm training her and some other young females as well.
Nice.
Also, I've always taken a group of young men out to Vegas at the World Team Trials for Vegas. I've been a part of 2 world teams. And so I've coached at that level for 2 world teams. And it's a great opportunity for them, not only because you get to travel and they pay for everything and you go to exotic places and you get that experience there, and you get coached by some of the top level tier coaches in the U.S.
Wow.
But also it does something as far as recruitment. Sometimes young wrestlers don't get that look, and just winning a state championship is not enough now.
Right.
Colleges want to see, can you beat people across the country? Because those are the guys that you're going to be competing against when you're in college. Yeah. So, and it's not so heavily weighted on how many state titles have you won, but can you go out of your state and compete at a high level? So, it's a mixture of that. So we'll be heading to Vegas, taking a group out there for that to try to make some world teams. So, that's what's next.
Do you do any camps? Like I know, like with a lot of other sports, they do a lot of camps and stuff like that.
Yes, at the fort we do tons of different camps. Okay. I run different training sessions outside of the regular training sessions, and those are for young black minorities to get into the sport. So normally when you go, it costs. I think the going rate is around like $75 a month, and that's tough.
Yeah,
single parent, it's tough. So we run some extra training after the training that is already go on, and so to make sure that we get some of the kids, who's interested but not really sure to get into the sport.
Get your feet wet.
So we need to get some information out there to
definitely
to help our community understand when there's a time for us to come and be a part of your program.
To at least see if they
Yeah.
get involved in the sport. I like that.
Man, this was great. You know, this was one of our best ones, and we appreciate you for your expertise and giving us, you know, everything that you gave us tonight. The audience, y'all heard it from the best, you know, so that's all I can say on that one.
Thank you for the opportunity. Again, it is not too many podcasts. I mean, there's some wrestling podcasts, but not too many. Definitely like neutral voices that really share light on the community and what's happening in the community. And because wrestling is a small community, so we thank you for allowing this platform so that we can continue to grow the sport of wrestling.
Yes.
Right.
Last word, we want to say thank you, God, for all the things you do for us.
Amen.
And continue to bless us.
Respect the game on 3. 1, 2, 3, respect the game.